Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's show. If you're a first-time watcher or listener, then by way of introduction, I'm Chris, and with me is Kieran. We're the FPL Cougars, and every week we like to get together to talk about FPL. So how are you doing, Kieran? We've got the double game week 32 announced, and there's lots of teams. You excited?
I'm stressed out, but I'm also pretty excited. Yeah, this is crunch time in FPL, isn't it? So, yeah, most people have chips to go, and unless you like me, that's got rid of the TC last week, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, all good, and yeah, excited for the run in, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right. So it was the big news yesterday, the confirmation of every double game week until the end of the season. All the fixtures have now been filled in. So the way it sort of panned out, there's going to be 15 games in this upcoming game week 32. We're going to have a reduced amount, so there's going to be 6 in 33, 11 in 34, and another 14 in game week 35. So that's 3 doubles and 1 blank between now and the end of the season. So it's quite exciting, and a lot of preparation and planning is going to be taking place. So tonight we're going to have a general overview of game week 32. We're going to talk about the fixtures that got announced and where we see sort of the key players. And we're also going to recap the blank game week 31, which concluded on Sunday with Everton's win over Chelsea. So let's start last weekend, Kieran. Let's have a look at how we got on. And do you want to talk about your game week?
Well, I'd rather not, but it's this is where we are now. I used my triple captain on Salah. Just who knows why in the end. He's blanked for ages, hasn't he? But his stats have been good. And I just figured, a haul was coming, and it obviously didn't come. I thought it'd be this week, and I didn't want to miss it. And anyone that went with Mane on triple captain, obviously did well. But yeah, Mane was my only return other than Digne, who got a very surprising clean sheet at home to Chelsea, which I was not expecting that, obviously. So that was points that I really, really dearly needed. And then Mane with the goal and the assist, which was nice, and I think it was 3 bonus in the end. So yeah, if I captained him, I would have done really well. Probably got a green arrow, or if I triple captained him, I would have done huge green arrow. But unfortunately, I didn't. I hoped Lascelles would play. I bought in Fraser, Vardy, and Borek for a -8 as well. So it was 39 -8. And yeah, not great. It was a 10k drop from 79k to 89k. So overall, that's not too bad in the grand scheme of things. But just a shame I had to ruin the TC on Salah.
Because you were having such dilemmas, weren't you, last week about whether you were going to triple captain Salah, and then after Mane's performance in the Champions League, you were getting a little bit swayed by that. We watched that one, and it just sort of came to a head on Saturday when you were getting quite excited about the potential of Salah. And I think like a lot of the managers, like on paper, it seemed like the perfect opportunity. Great underlying stats. Fulham been woeful, and surprised it was only 2-1 in the end, really.
Yeah, I mean, for my strategy, there didn't seem to be a obvious or another double game week that I could use triple captain in. So Fulham away for the worst defence in the league, pretty much, other than maybe Huddersfield. Salah at home, away, felt good stats, but I went with my gut, and the gut just didn't pay off, unfortunately. So,
just goes like that, doesn't it?
It's just one of those chips. I have such anxiety about playing it. Like it's especially in a single game week, because you just have one chance and you need to get it right. And now that it's out of the way, I'm kind of relieved, I suppose. I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Because your history with it has been quite mixed, isn't it? Because I think last season you did the same as I did, and we captained Kane in double game week around Christmas time, and he blanked. But the season before that, you captained Ibra for a single game week, if I remember right, didn't you? And that paid off really well, because I think he had like 18 points at home to Sunderland or something like that.
I think it was a little bit less than that. I think it was something like 32-ish he got altogether. So it wasn't a huge haul, but
still decent though, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's cool. So my game week it's just been going the same way. So 22 points, that was with a -4. I had Salah captain. My only returner was Felipe Anderson. Fielded 10 players. So the players I brought in were Fraser and Vardy, who came in for Son and Success. So just and I also brought in Declan Rice for Alonso, and I had 2 free, so it was only a -4. So yeah, 22 -4. Another really poor game week. So I now dropped to 146k. So I'm trying to work out why that's happened, really, because in game week 20, so 11 game weeks ago, I was 28,000. And so to drop 120,000 ranks in 11 game weeks is pretty crazy. So I had a look to see how I'd been doing sort of game week to game week. And of all those game weeks, I'm actually 37 points above what is considered to be the game week average every week. And I've had less captain blanks than captain returns in that time. So I've had 5 captain blanks out of the 11. And the captain blanks I've had have been Pogba twice, Salah twice, and Hazard. So it's not even like I've had like risky captain picks. I just think that, I don't know, my team doesn't look particularly bad. I think the reliance on Chilwell and Pereira and Felipe Anderson in the last 4 or 5 game weeks has probably maybe missed some other points elsewhere. But I think it's probably Salah's lack of form combined with a couple of captaincies on him and Pogba's lack of form with 2 returns. Otherwise, I just can't see where it's gone too badly wrong, really. Maybe I think, like I was saying to you last week, I think Mane's helped you big time, hasn't he, recently? Because he's been a differential for more active players, I'd say. He's still owned by like 30k, but I don't think he's in many, like, let's say, active top 150,000 teams, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So anyway, it's strange times, but I don't know, it's not over. I got the triple captain and I've got my bench boost, my wild card. So I think I'm 20 points outside the top 100k now, or something like that. Maybe top 75k. I can't remember. I haven't looked at it. So
what do you think your end goal is now overall rank?
I just think end on a green arrow. If I get to game week 38 and I've had a green arrow, like up for the final game week, I'll be pleased. I'm not too. I don't want to start putting like targets up against it, because then you'll just be irritated if you don't make it. So I'm just gonna play it out and see how it goes. But it's strange. Maybe people comment on people who've been watching us talk every week for the last, what's it been, 11 weeks, have seen my team subside. But I was looking back at my squad, and I don't think it's been particularly bad. And I'm talking here like 140k is horrifically bad. But there's some other top sort of or well-known FPL personalities, let's say, who are having worse seasons. So
I mean, it's bad from the perspective of where you were.
Yeah, that is bad.
So, I mean, I was like top 3k at like maybe 6, like game week 6, something like that, and I've gone down to like 120,000 at some point, and now I'm back to about 80k, which obviously is a huge fall as well. And I think that's gone down to me, or Salah. Basically, he's basically ruined my season about the wrong times of taking him out when he gets a hat trick, and then the wrong times of bringing him back, and then where he has no form. I missed all of his double digit hauls, like whereas like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, missed all of that, and then I brought him back. I think got 1 goal, and then I've had just constant blanks from him, and I even went and triple captained him, and he's gone and blanked again, and it's so as soon as I get rid of him on wildcard or this week on the free hit, then he'll probably go and haul against Spurs or something. So it's just gonna be typical, isn't it?
Marnie must be quite close to him now in terms of overall points, I think, because he was 30 behind heading into the last game week. So what's he got? Another 8 on him there, so maybe less than 20. So from a season perspective, all that money in Salah, I think it's definitely one to look at for next season, because where we are now in the season, maybe around the Bournemouth time and after that, when he had those huge hauls, we were all saying, he's worth the 13 million for those hauls. But when you look at it over a season, I don't know if the value's been there really.
No, probably not. He's still pretty much up there in overall points, on the game, but the price compared to Mane or whatever season wide has not been justified, I think.
No. All right, so let's move on from the doldrums of game week 31, and let's have a quick recap of the FPL Cougars League. And let me see what we did. Inside the top 50, that was who I was going to talk about. It was Francis Mahon, or Mahone, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry if I've apologies if I've got that wrong. He had the best score of the top 50 managers in the FPL Cougars Mini League. He scored 60 points without playing his free hit or making a transfer, which I thought was quite impressive as well. So he had Mane captain, he had Rondon, Felipe Anderson, and Richarlison. So I thought it was quite a good return for not playing any chips or making any transfers. So well played. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. So everyone else I felt sorry for, because apart from that there was mainly 40s and 30s really. So he did very well. Cougar Cup picks. Do you want to explain, if people are new listening, what the Cougar Cup pick is and how we're getting on?
Yep. So I think we started about 3 or 4 weeks now ago. It was so we pick a differential under 15% ownership each week from any teams that we don't have in our personal team, and yeah, we add up their points scored each week, and we'll go to the end of the season. And me and Chris are battling it out at the moment, obviously. So
It's close.
it is close. So yeah, last week I picked Calvert-Lewin, a little bit of a big risky one, I suppose. Chelsea at home, and he got 5 points. And then you picked Madison after some deliberation of not being able to get quite a few people.
I bet you wish I'd had Van Dijk now.
Oh yeah, Burnley away it was, and you got 9 points there, so pretty good there. So overall, I'm now on 17 points, and you are on 22 points.
Okay, no, it's still quite close,
So
isn't it?
yeah, 5 points in it. Yeah, loads to play for. I can easily catch up when you blank next week.
So yeah, we're gonna do another show next week. When we're getting a bit closer to Game Week 32, and we'll pick our cup picks then. So I've got a week to think about it. Yep. Oh, it's got to be a double game week player, isn't it? Or maybe a controversial single game week player. Plenty to think about.
I mean, you're mad if you do that, but sure.
All right, so let's jump into our Game Week 32 sort of reaction analysis. So we found out which teams have got doubles in Game Week 32. You've already pressed the free hit button, as people can see on the screens there, or going to be listening. It's glowing green. So you've been holding on to this one for a while. I played mine way back when, in maybe back Game Week
25. It says up there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Game Week. Oh, it does. Very good. Game Week 25. We've had a few comments on the video about maybe I played it at the wrong time. So I had a little look back, and when I played it, I scored 49 points more. My free hit team scored 49 points more than my normal team. So people say I wasted it back then. I'm going to draft up a free hit team for next week's show, and then we're going to see if it outscores my normal team. So, and then I'm going to see if I made the right decision or wrong decision, because I feel like I don't know to justify.
I think most of the players that you've got there are most of the players that people are picking anyway, it seems like. So I don't know if a free hit is that big a advantage this week, really.
I think I'm not going to have. I don't think I'm going to have any Chelsea players. But let's get into it with the top picks, I suppose. Man City, because I can see you've got 3 of them. You've loaded up on the attack.
Yep.
It's just those fixtures, isn't it?
I mean, that's the big question for me, is 3 attack or 2 attack and 1 defense, or 2 defense, 1 attack. I mean, obviously it's people are going to have Aguero and Sterling. They seem to be the no-brainers, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone will have them. Don't not have them. Don't be crazy and not go for them. So yeah, Aguero and Sterling. And then it's the question of attack versus defense. And I think because of my overall rank at around 80k, I want to go aggressive. Rotation of those mids is obviously an issue, but David Silva for me is in at the moment. He's played the last 90 minutes in the last three games, and he's got no international break, or he's got no games. Sorry, he's not playing for Spain anymore. Yeah. So he'll be fully rested, and I don't see why he wouldn't play both of those games. We've been surprised when he's played a double game weeks before, haven't we? When he plays both like in quick succession. Yeah. So I think he'll play both, and he's in decent form. He's had 2 assists in the last 3 games. So yeah, I think he's another area or way to go in that attack. Obviously there's maybe Sane, but been burnt by him before. His minutes are awful at the moment.
They are really bad, aren't they?
And yeah, I think he could be a risk, but then you could go Sane because nobody else is going for him, because how everyone else has been burnt. And then he could be the kind of guy that pops up in 1 game and a half and gets really good score. I don't know.
The way City have been playing recently, I mean, it's even the game at Swansea, they were 2-0 down with 20 minutes to go. Sterling and Aguero came on, they scored 3 in 20 minutes. They're just scoring goals for fun since the start of this calendar year. So I do think it's probably better to load up on their attack than their defence. It's just nailing down the third spot, like you said. I think Sterling and Aguero are pretty much going to be in everyone's free hit team, and even people who are making transfers are going to make sure they have those 2. And I think it's just a question of, is it Bernardo, is it David, or your cheeky punt on Sane or Mahrez? But I wouldn't really advise either of those.
I've even looked at Gundogan,
Okay.
because he's played 90 minutes in the last 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've had no word on when Fernandinho might be back or anything.
Yep.
And against lower teams, he gets forward like a lot
Mm.
for his position or what he should be doing.
Yep.
And we've seen before he likes a goal. He likes a goal out of, maybe not out of nowhere, but he does like a goal and does really nice free balls. So he's often the assister of the assister, but if you can cut out that other guy, then he could be great. He's 5.4 million, 2.5% owned by, and he gives you loads of funds in that mid. Obviously there is Sterling, David Silva, and people like that, that you would probably prefer. But if you need funds and you want to get someone like Kane, maybe, then he could be good, to be honest.
When you see Gundogan at that price, but then you also have Ederson in goal at that price, would you see better value in Ederson in goal, or do you still think that Gundogan from an attacking point of view might pick up an assist? And City have been a bit leaky recently. It's like we talk about the Swansea game, conceded the odd goal here and there and ruining some clean sheets. It would be typical of their sort of recent form a little bit, just to concede one.
They could easily smash both of these games like 5-6-0, but it could easily be 5-1, 6-1 or something. They could concede those sloppy goals. There's probably one clean sheet there at least. Fulham away, Cardiff at home. You expect one clean sheet, but is that going to outweigh them getting that third attacker in these riots of 3, 4-0, 5-0? No.
I think you've got to remember as well that the surprise of game week 25 when they had their previous double was Laporte's mammoth 21-point ball, wasn't it?
Of course.
Just because he picked up those 2 clean sheets and that goal.
But does lightning strike twice? I can't see Laporte doing that again, honestly.
But you never know, do you? When you've got that double, you can't control it. But it's a difficult balance. I just wanted to talk about the fatigue issue and the rotation. I mean, it's always difficult predicting Pep, but we know that Aguero is not on international duty, whereas Sterling is. They play Fulham on the Saturday lunchtime game, which I think is actually the best, really, because I would have thought he goes into that game full strength. Yep. And then they've got the second game against Cardiff at home on the Wednesday evening. And I don't think, unless it's been announced in the last couple of hours, I don't think the FA Cup semi-final TV slot's been booked yet for them. Because I think as of this morning or yesterday evening, it was down at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So I don't think it's going to be that time. I think it'll be a broadcastable time. So I would, it seems like they're going to get 3 full days of rest between Fulham and Cardiff game, and then maybe 2 or 3 days rest between the Cardiff and the
Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah, Brighton, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we found recently is Sterling's been rested in a couple of midweek games, 2 rests in the last 5, which I think one was against Everton and one was away against Everton, one was at home against. You remember this one because you had him in your team. I don't.
Can't
remember. It wasn't a couple of game weeks ago. I can't remember either. Aguero did some work though. But anyway, so he has got previous for resting Sterling and not resting Aguero, so that's worth considering.
Yeah, that's why I currently have captain on Aguero, just because he's going to be fully rested over the break and he'll start definitely the Fulham game and probably the Cardiff game, right?
I think so.
So, I mean, well, maybe he doesn't do the Cardiff game and he's rested for the Cup, maybe. Maybe Pep's been like, oh, I've seen what's happened in the last round. Maybe I should start Aguero and I don't have to bring him on in the last 20 minutes to win a game.
Yeah, I think he'll probably start at Wembley. I think they'll probably... in my head, I'm thinking they're going to batter Fulham and Aguero will be off after 65 minutes. He'll play against Cardiff because that's their game in hand to get the lead back from Liverpool. He'll play in that one and he'll come off early again and he'll start in the... Because that's how he's been using them, isn't he, recently?
Yep, fair enough.
So,
I think that makes sense. That's also why I'm kind of not leaning towards Sterling because he's got international duty. So let's see how many minutes he gets there. Obviously... after one international break, he was rested afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. The game afterwards. So Fulham away, Sterling could be rested. In the second international break, he played 90 minutes in the next game. So there's not really a pattern there so far. So we'll have to see. But I don't know if he wants full strength, then he's going to have to play Sterling, isn't he? And he obviously needs to win these games, but he probably can do it without, Sterling maybe. So that there is space for the Sane maybe to come in, for Mahrez to come in.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we say that, but I mean, Sane and Mahrez both started against Swansea, didn't they? And they were quite poor. And
they were.
So maybe starting them at Fulham, you'd think was going to be harder than the Swansea game, or maybe he doesn't trust them enough to start that Fulham game, doesn't trust them enough to start the Cardiff game, games they need to win. So, yeah, I think I'm thinking that he's just trying to play his full strength team as much as possible, and Sterling and Aguero are part of that. It's got to be captain on one of those.
I would say David Silva's part of that for sure as well.
All right, so another team who've been given 2 lovely-looking fixtures are Chelsea. You've got 3 of them. They play Cardiff away, and they've got Brighton at home. And Brighton, I would have thought, are going to have one eye on the FA Cup semi-final in that midweek game.
Yep.
So has there been any thoughts that crossed your mind about captain, or are you just happy just to have some Chelsea coverage in there? Because I think that Brighton game could be a bit of a bloodbath, really.
Not thoughts for captain really, unless I really want to go Maverick. But I do want to cover them. Obviously, they're a little bit indifferent at the moment. I think there's almost a argument for not going any Chelsea because of how awful they've been. But I think if you're going to go for one, it has to be Hazard for sure. Yeah. I think Hazard has to be in there. Cardiff away and Brighton at home is just too good. And obviously, I think Brighton and Cardiff have been the teams have given away the most penalties as well, or close to. Okay. And so Hazard should be, on for that.
Yeah.
And then my other guy that I've got currently is Higuain, only because I've had him, in the past few weeks for the blanks and stuff. But his form has been really awful.
I was going to say, how confident are you? Because he's one goal and 5, isn't he now?
Well, he's only scored against Fulham and Huddersfield so far, right?
Yeah.
So that means he's like a Lukaku-esque, bullies the bad teams, right?
Yeah.
So Cardiff and Brighton are pretty bad. Brighton are probably going to rest and rotate for the semi-final against City. Higuain should be with a chance to do well. And obviously he's still so low owned, like a 4.6% in a Chelsea team against these terrible sides. Sorry. He should be. And I should be confidently keeping him because he's nailed, well, maybe not nailed on, but in a great top 6 side who are attacking when they can or when they are. And I should be fairly confident, but I don't know. Does he play both games? Not 100% sure. Does he come off maybe 65 minutes in both? Possibly. But can he do his work before, like against Fulham and Huddersfield? I don't know.
It's a lot.
I mean, there's loads of other options around his price, or well, maybe not his price, but there's loads of other options to downgrade. So I don't know. He's just that differential factor that I'm thinking about at the moment because I need a few. Yeah. So.
When I looked at the fixtures get announced, I saw that Chelsea's obviously looked like they had good defensive prospects, but their defence hasn't really been that great. Recently? I mean, they lost against Everton. I think they've got no clean sheets in the last 5 away games. So, I mean, how irritating would it be that your sort of double game week starts off with conceding that clean sheet away at Cardiff, which would be massively irritating. Not to say it's going to happen, but I mean, the stats shown. And also what we've heard in the press in the last couple of days is that they've had board meetings about Sarri. Does that mean they get rid of him before these games, or is there just anxiety going into these games? I can't really read the Chelsea setup at the moment, because from what I saw in that game against Everton, they were great first half, but just woeful second half. They don't have a plan B when it goes wrong.
I mean, my gut feeling is that they might get rid of him actually, just because he's got these 2 great games coming up, and even a good one in 33 as well.
Yeah,
and they're just like what Ollie had at the start, where he came in for Man United, got these sort of easy run of games to just start getting some confidence up and winning obvious games.
Yeah.
And that's what this new person, if Sarri does go, will have. And new manager bounce will be in effect, and triple Chelsea will be definitely nailed on for me. I'm not so sure about David Luiz, as you say. Like their defense has been poor. We've both seen like people doubling and tripling up on their defense, which seems
crazy.
Yeah. It's differential. That's if it goes right, then good for you. But I think that's a gamble. I'm not willing to take. I mean, I'm up for one of them. David Luiz seems fine. He's pretty explosive. Got set piece threat, hasn't he, from free kicks and from headers. Kepa's good at saving penalties, so he's an option as well. But I like Foster in there for just goal saves, value, outside chance of clean sheet. So, that's where I am with Chelsea at the moment. I think Hazard has to be in my team for sure. And then Higuain and David Luiz are just ones I'm not sure on, but I think Higuain is going to stay.
I have all sound reasoning there, to be honest. Another squad, other big squads who have got a double game week, of course, is Tottenham, and they're going to play their first match in the new stadium and the second of the two double games at home to Palace after playing away at Liverpool. Now, you've not gone for any Spurs players. Is that just because the Liverpool fixture's putting you off? Because it just feels like a normal single game week then, and you expect them to lose that Liverpool game and thus blank?
Yeah, pretty much. They've just been pretty off form, haven't they?
Yeah.
So
they have really. It's only
I don't know. I would like,
yeah.
I would like to get one of them in. I'm looking at Son maybe again, which I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Like maybe going 3-5-2, something like that again, and getting Son in, but that would mean Higuain out. But I don't know. Yeah, like you say, that Liverpool are gonna keep a tight ship. Is that if they score anything, it'll be one goal, maybe Kane. And I don't think anyone else will get that involved there. It's just the mids. I don't know. Eriksen, Ali looked all right on his return from. He got an assist. The differential.
He's
Ali
still quite
for
a
sure.
lot. He's still got his 8.8, and he's 2.4% owned. So he's like a mega differential. But do you take a gamble on a player that's sort of a game or two back from injury? For what is, like I say, I think it's going to be tough that game against Liverpool. You can see Liverpool keeping a cleaning in that one. And then you're just relying on their first game in the new stadium. What does that mean? Are they adapting to new surroundings? Are they coming out gung-ho? Are Palace going to sit back and play defensive like we know they can against the big side?
But they don't have Sacco. Their defence has been a little bit leaky lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so they are there to be taken apart, Palace, I think. But we were all excited for Spurs to play the first game at Wembley, and most of the players blanked. I think it's a 1-1 draw. So could be that again.
Yeah.
But that stadium does look really nice, and I imagine they will be pretty pumped for it. So
as will Palace. I'm sure they'll be excited to have the opportunity to play there first as well.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Is Higuain out compared to like someone like downgrades to get Kane in? Maybe I don't know if that's worth it. I probably wouldn't captain Kane. 12.5 million for someone I'm not captaining.
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it, is it?
No. So United are a bit of a quandary because they've lost back-to-back games under Ollie now. You've gone for Pogba and Rashford. I've still got Pogba in my team, but I won't be getting Rashford just because he seems bang off form. Apart from the penalty against PSG, he's got 1 in 6 in the league. United haven't got a clean sheet in the last 3 after 3 before that. So I don't know, they've hit a bit of a rough patch. But do you expect with these two fixtures, they've actually got some really nice ones. The Watford game at home, Watford are going to be thinking a week ahead to the FA Cup final. FA Cup semi-final. You already saw, didn't we, last week, that they swapped their team around lots to play against City. And then they're going away to Wolves in the week before. Wolves obviously play in the semi-final as well. So, yeah, I think it's a good time for United to sort of bounce back from their recent rough patch, really.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think probably Triple United is favourable here. I think they probably will bounce back. They've had their sort of bad feeling, or the good feeling's kind of gone away a bit, but now's the time to bounce back, I suppose. And these two favourable-ish fixtures, I suppose, with the two teams looking elsewhere. I don't think Watford will rotate for the United game. First of all, I think they'll rotate in their second game. But yeah, I think you can't really gamble on Pogba. He's like 50% owned now. I think he's nearly the most owned player in the game now. So I think you've probably got to have him, but just don't captain him. Rashford, I just am liking him at the moment. Obviously, usually I hate the guy. I've often said he's a League 2 player.
So harsh on Rashford.
It is, but I think he's turning into a bit of differential. A lot of people are not looking at him now, and he's injured, says from the England camp. So I don't think he's been withdrawn yet, right?
No.
No. So I think if he's just on the bench, then that means he's probably fine. I think that Lukaku's had that sort of injury. He's gone for an MRI scan and stuff now. So that sounds like it's more serious than expected. So they're going to need Rashford. Martial's picked up another yellow flag, so another knock from coming back from injury, I think. Lingard's one to look at maybe. Back from injury, looked kind of okay against, was it Arsenal? I think it was. No, Wolves. Sorry, in the cup. He looks okay, so he's someone to. Yeah, if you really want to go Maverick, then you could go for Lingard maybe. All-out attack with United sounds interesting.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I've gone like I'm keeping Pogba because I've got him, but he seems a little bit out of form. Rashford obviously got the goal against Wolves in the cup, but none in the league. So, and like you say, we think that his injury is going to be just a ploy to get him out of the England squad. Because if they've lost Lukaku for a while, they need one sort of.
I think they'll bounce
striker.
back.
Yeah.
If Lukaku's out, then the good feeling may come back with Pogba and Rashford through the middle, Lingard on the other side, loads of pace everywhere.
Yeah.
I'd be excited for those two games, and Rashford's going nowhere for me. I think that front three looks dangerous and differential-esque for me.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking I've got to throw it. I think I've got to throw at least one differential. I'll talk about my plans a little bit at the end, but one differential in, and it could be Martial. I've been eyeing up really. I know he's got the yellow now, but I think he's probably going to be a third choice, if you like, United cover pick behind Pogba and Rashford. But I think if he's not going to have any competition from Sanchez, he's not going to have any competition from Lukaku. So I'd expect if he's back, he's going to play both games. The only thing that put me off was horrifically poor against Wolves. But I'm going to give that some more thought over the week, and maybe it's stupid of me to take a risk on someone who's out of form. But there you go.
Any single game week players look like differentials as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Some of my single game week players I'm actually quite all right with. Like Vardy at home to Bournemouth. Yeah. I'm thinking that's big. He could easily outscore some double game week players on that one.
Yeah, I think he could. I've been tempted to have him just as a single, but I think if you're on free hit, you probably have to go aggressive and go for doubles. But
yeah, you do.
Jealous of not having Vardy this week because he'll probably troll me again. When I bought him, he blanks, and then I don't have him. He'll
get rid of him again.
What do you think of United's defence chances these two games?
I think they'll probably keep a clean sheet in one of the two of them. I'd expect Wolves to rest quite a lot of players, and Wolves weren't terribly creative in the. I hate to say that really because they played such a good game, but they weren't terribly creative. Lots of clear cut chances. Obviously, Jimenez scored a great goal, and then United got caught out with Shaw on the break, didn't they? So I think that Wolves are probably going to rotate quite a fair bit for that game and still sit in their defensive shape. And I think it'll be United with most of the ball, and they'll squeak out a 0-0 or a 1-0 win, really.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I could see that.
Because Wolves' back three doesn't really change. They'll play all games, I think. It's their sort of like Jota, Jimenez, Doherty, Johnny. Those are the ones that sort of rotate.
It's funny. I've got Doherty, and he's a player I'm considering actually getting rid of for another double game week play because I don't think he'll play against United because we've seen he's been rested even when they play FA Cup games. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So talking of Brighton, Watford, and Wolves, I've got just to mention really. Well, I thought we'd talk about them as a group because, like we've been saying all throughout, is they're all playing the FA Cup semi-final at the weekend. So for me, that doesn't really make them that appealing, and their players a bit more risk attached to them just because of that second game week being. The second fixture being so close to the weekend. I'm a bit loath to even say you wouldn't even want to pick a star player from any of those teams because they're going to be surely preserved in some capacity because they haven't got the squad that City have got.
Yeah, I think the first game they'll probably all play strong sides, and the second game then you'll see the rotation. That's what we expect, right? With the semi-final so close. Yeah. In my team, Foster. That's because he should be nailed on to play both because Gomez is their cup keeper.
It's an interesting one because I was listening to one of the podcasts today talking about Foster's rotation with Gomez and how Gomez got really emotional after the FA Cup game and that he thought it was going to be his last game at home. And then they were arguing the point that, well, maybe is Foster going to come back in for the big game at Wembley? And if he does, maybe that Gomez plays another game in the league. But
see, I was listening to a radio program this morning, and Foster was on the call.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about, is he gonna, if they get to the final, will he come back in? Because David Seaman was there as well, and he was saying how he went on a run with Arsenal and he got put back in for the final when the other keeper, I can't remember who it was, got them through there, and he obviously felt so bad, and the guy was absolutely gutted. And then Foster was saying the same thing. He was just like, I would feel so bad for Gomez, but if it's a job to do, I wouldn't want to do it to him if we get there. But if the the gaffer picks him, then he'll play, obviously. But from my feeling, it felt like Foster was not going to be the cup keeper. That's what it felt like what he was saying, and he would play both these games. So. And a way to get around that is maybe to spend a little bit more on Gomez at 4.2 and just have both of them.
Yeah, just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
But that would be a nightmare though if Foster played one game and Gomez played the other. If that makes sense, because you wouldn't get him off the bench.
Yep, you're right.
So anyway, something to think about. So that's really why So you've got Bolly and Foster as your only two players at the moment in your team coverage. So you've totally avoided Brighton.
Apart from Stevens.
Yeah, they played so poorly against... So poorly? God, I don't really Devon them. Too poorly. They played so poorly against Millwall in the cup. I think they were lucky to scrape through, really. That dodgy keeper. So a couple grand on a Brighton win there.
Yeah, kept Bolly, or I've got Bolly because he's a differential and he's got good set piece threat.
I quite like that pick.
And I think Doherty and Johnny will probably get rested. But the back three seem to play all games, so it's either Sice, Bolly, and Cody or Bennett. Those three seem to play them all, whether it's cup or league. I don't know why they just don't seem to get rest, do they? And Bolly, low ownership. They keep a solid ship, even with Vinagre and Sice in, or whoever it is. So, why not? Bit of a differential.
I think a team who have sort of come to light a little bit, like we talked about your back line there, Palace, because prior to this just weekend gone, we thought it was either going to be them or Watford, who then get another fixture in 33. As it turns out, the Palace lost, and they're back in game week 33 now, which is the blank one, which is nice because it means we've got some more options. I'm going to still have my team. You're going to come back to your normal team. I'm pleased because I've got Gaeta in goal, so I'm going to get a double game week out of him, and I'm also going to get him for 33. And I think that sort of widens.
Assuming he plays.
Assuming he plays. He played in the cup game, so I'm hopeful that he's going to play in the league games, because he started in the league game as well before the cup game. It seems like he was only dropped or injured because he wasn't in the squad for one game.
Okay.
So touch wood. He's back in. Anyway, but they've got some good options, haven't they, now? Because they've got Batshuayi, Milivojevic has been getting quite a lot of interest as a midfield option. That home game against Huddersfield to kick them off. How do you see sort of Palace's double game week playing out?
I think that Huddersfield one is obviously one you've got a target, isn't it? Huddersfield at home. All of their attackers seem like good options there. MacArthur, Townsend, Schlupp, who's out of position mostly, and who else? Zaha, Batshuayi. Yeah, they all seem like they're good options there. Milivojevic, I don't know how to pronounce it. Millie.
I'll edit it in afterwards.
Yeah, okay. So a lot of them running fast, looking for penalties. Millie seems like good there. So yeah, I think they'll do well. Tottenham obviously pretty tough, but new stadium. They'll be up for it as well, as you said. So yeah, I think they're pretty tight, so they could get clean sheets in both. That's why I've got Schlupp out of position as well. Likes a goal, likes an assist. Seems to be nailed on at the moment. So yeah, kind of like Palace's Alonso. Yeah, but good.
I quite like how they've just given us that extra dimension in terms of player picks for 33 as well, because Newcastle away is a decent-ish fixture for them, and I think all their key players are going to play 90 minutes over the two doubles. Milivojevic, like we say, Batshuayi. I think a defence is pretty fixed at the moment, like you say, Sarko's out, but the others should step in and play 90 minutes in both.
Yep.
So I think they're a safe pick, and we know they're decent defensively, and they've got decent attacking outlet. I was also really impressed with Milivojevic's points. Remember last season he was just going on such a run where he was outscoring Zaha, everyone was getting irritated. He's now up to 127 points overall this season, so 6.3 million, 7% owned. He's
12th highest.
Yeah, it's amazing really. He's just snuck up. We've not really talked about him much this season, but he's had a few, maybe he's had like four or so double-digit hauls. If he gets a penalty against Huddersfield, you could easily see him get like a 15-point game week. He's a bit of a bonus hog. And he's only 5 points behind David Silva for this season and 7 behind Sane, which is when you
mental.
when you play the long game in FPL and just think about a player pick for a season who's going to bring in the points. It's a player from a team like that, or from Palace, who are on penalties, and I wouldn't be surprised if next season his price drops a little bit and he sort of comes back more into our thinking because we're going to have VAR and probably more penalties more often.
Why do you think he would drop? Do you not think he'd go up just because of that reason?
No, I think probably because he went up quite a bit last season. So I have a feeling like perhaps he's not justified what the price increase was. So I could see
6 mil.
I could see him maybe being a 6 mil, maybe 5.5. I don't know.
I can't see it being 5.5.
Did he start
6 mil sounds? No, he started 6.5.
That's okay. That makes sense. Why 6.3? Yeah. See, I think 6 mil. Basically, he needs to go down a little bit more. But yeah, I think 6 is a bit more reasonable.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, would you consider me getting him? Do you think I should? Or
it's a difficult one because you got such a strong lineup of top 4 teams. It's difficult to sort of. Is he going to outscore David Silva over those two? He's definitely.
Not sure.
What you know is he's definitely going to play 90 minutes, and if he's on penalties and Palace get a penalty in either of those games, he's got a great record from the spot. So it only takes one penalty for him to likely outscore. Is Silva really going to score a brace over those 2 games? Or do you think an assist?
I think I'm after a goal and assist in each, maybe not each game, goal and assist over the 2 games. I think from Silva, his appearance points, couple bonus maybe. I think that'd be good.
Looking at it from if you think that's that, I wouldn't say Milivojevic is going to outscore that. I'd say he might score a goal in that Huddersfield game.
Maybe just a goal and 2 assists or something. If they're going to riot over Fulham and Cardiff, then David Silva should be involved.
Don't we all hope so? Like every FPL player, it's just like just beat them both 5-0.
Imagine then beating them 1-0 and 1-1 or something.
Yeah. I'd be irritated with the 2-1 like Liverpool got.
It could happen,
Jeez. It's too worrying.
It's at the point where we all trust City players where they start to be crap. Like I did on my wildcard. I doubled up with Sane and Sterling and they were crap for that's when they had their 2 losses. Was it 3 losses maybe? Palace, Leicester and whoever else it was. And it's just, Palace and Leicester they're ready to troll like City here. They're ready to troll.
Cool. So have you got any more to add this week? Because that's pretty much instant take thoughts on the double fixtures, really.
No, actually, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Well, I think before we end, I'll just round out how I see my transfer plans at the moment before we head into next week, because it looks like you're pretty settled. Whereas I've got a bit more thinking to do because obviously, like people will have seen on my screen and heard how I've spoken, I've not got the free hit chips. I've sort of got to manage my transfers and think a little bit about 33 because I'm going to wildcard in 34 ahead of the bench boosting double in 35. So I'm likely going to get rid of Salah purely because of form, and Tottenham at home is a difficult game. He's going to go, Sterling's going to come in, and it's going to give me some money to flex a little bit, really. So I'm thinking that Højbjerg is finally going to go, and I'm going to upgrade to Milivojevic and
not Martial.
Milivojevic or Martial, someone in that price, but I don't think I can afford. If I had to get Martial, I'd have to upgrade Anderson. Sorry, downgrade trade Anderson. So yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of Højbjerg for Milivojevic, and then I'm also going to downgrade Robertson to either a City or a Chelsea defender. So then I'll have City or Chelsea defence, a City midfielder, and I'll also be able to bench Anderson, play Milivojevic, and still get a bonus player for game week 34. Sorry, 33. Game week 33, yes. And then for 33, because I will have lost 2 by getting rid of Salah and Robertson, and then I will probably just get Mane back in for 33.
So that's -8, -4?
It'll be a -8, yeah. I don't want to take any more than -8, and I'm even a bit loath to take out Robertson for a -4 because that seems a bit counterproductive. So I'm going to give it some more thought. So at the moment I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double game week players, and it'd be nice to get up to 7, maybe 8. We'll see. And triple captain, I should say. I should triple captain. I'm playing it this week. It's going to happen. It's going to be Aguero or Sterling, probably Aguero. So I need a monster 50-point game week from Aguero to really give me a chance of winning this damn thing.
Yeah, we all do.
We do. Cool. All right. Well, that gives plenty of food for thought, I'm sure. Thanks for joining us for tonight's show. There's no more for you to add, is there, Kieran? Before I
No, I
quickly
think
wrap
that's
it
it.
up. Cool. All right. Well, if you guys have got any questions about your Game Week 32 team before next week, then please drop us a comment on our YouTube video or tweet us at FPL Cougars. We'll be back next week to preview 32 in more detail. Until then, enjoy fiddling around with your free hit squads and transfers like we will. It's goodbye from me.
Cheers and good luck.